Like damn, she in her mood. 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 She lit, get money too. Like damn, she in her mood. In the mirror, I'm doing my dance. Ain't packing out nobody's pants. He a rapper, but don't got a chance.
I am going to walk you guys through the materials that I am using, so you can find something similar and find something you can find around. So for the yarn, we are using this party yarn that I got from a brand called Zeeman. It's actually a store, I think, in the Netherlands, in Belgium, in Germany. I don't know, I'm not too sure. But this is the party yarn. It comes in this super cute blue color, and it has glitters to it, which is the reason why I actually picked it. So it is a 91% acrylic and 9% polyester yarn. One of these is a 100 gram. At the end of the video, I'm going to let you guys know how much I actually used. The recommended size is a 3 to 4, but obviously I'm using a different crochet hook because of my own desire stitch. So, and I'm mixing these two colors together because for some reason I just wanted to mix colors instead of just using one color. So again, at the end of the video, I'll let you guys know how much I ended up using for the skirt. And then when it comes to crochet hook, I am using two different sizes. So the first one is going to be a 2.5 followed by a 5.5. This 2.5 is going to be used for the upper part, while the 5.5 is going to be used for the lower part of the skirt. You're going to need some scissors. You're going to need a measurement tape and an elastic band. This is optional, you don't have to if you don't want to, but again, I always recommend that you use an elastic band, so that way it's easy for you to get in and out of your skirt. So these are the materials that you'll be needing. If I forget anything, I'm going to put it around so you guys can see. I'm going to make a slip knot. I'm going to put the measurements that you'll be needing right there so you can take yours, but I'm going to just make a chain, and this chain is going to be the half of my hips measurement when it's divided by 2, because again we're doing 2 different panels, right? So you're just going to make a random chain, and then you can take a measurement as you go, just to know and make sure that you have the same measurement, the correct measurement in this case. I have a chain that is the half of my hips measurement in the stretch form. You want to make sure you stretch this. You're going to go into that second chain, with a double crochet, and a double crochet is yarn over, go into the second chain, grab the yarn, pull through, and now you have 3 loops. You're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. You have 2 loops, you're going to yarn over and pull through all 2 loops. Again, to work a double crochet, you're going to yarn over, go into the next available chain, grab the yarn, pull through. You have 3 loops, you're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. Lastly, you're going to yarn over, go into the next available chain, grab the yarn and pull through. You have 3 loops, you're going to yarn over, pull through all 2, the first 2, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. And this is what you're going to repeat one after the other. You want to make sure you do not skip a stitch or go into one chain with 2 stitches, because then you'll be increasing, and if you skip a stitch then you will be decreasing, which is not what you want, because then your panel is going to get smaller compared to the actual measurement. So you're going to just repeat 1 double crochet until you get to the very end of the chain. Hey guys, right here I just finished the first row. You can see that I did go into every stitch with a double crochet. I made sure I did not skip any stitch. So now we are going to start with the next row, which is a chain and turn, and right into this very first double crochet you're going to yarn over, go into that very first stitch with your first double crochet, and right from there you're going to just repeat 1 double crochet into every double crochet. And again, like the first row, you want to make sure you're not skipping any stitch, but at the same time you're also not adding an additional stitch into any stitch. So you're basically just going to repeat 1 double crochet until you get to the very end of the row, and this is what I repeated until I have my desired length. Mine, again, like I said from the intro, this first panel ends right underneath my butt area, so that's the length I was going for because I knew I was going to add the length, so I had no issues with it being that short. But if you want it to be longer, then you can do so, but I would suggest, if you're going for the same look, I'll suggest you do that same exact length. So I'm just going to repeat the double crochet. When I get to the very end of the row, I'm going to chain 1. Don't forget to chain 1 at the very beginning, turn and go into that very first stitch again with the double crochet, and I'll see you guys when I have that complete. Again, the back panel is just a plain double crochet rows. I ended up doing a total of 40 rows, but I think because of the yarn that I'm using and because of the crochet hook that I'm using, yours is going to be, not I think, I know yours is going to be different. The amount of rows you're doing is going to be different. To go ahead and start with the front panel. For the front panel, we are also using starting with the red yarn, but then we're alternating between the red and then the blue yarn. In a bit we are going to alternate between these two colors. So the pattern is, the lace pattern is made in multiple of 9 plus 5. This is a bit complicated given how we are going to divide. We're dividing our apes measurement by 2, and then we're doing the 2 panels separately, but I'm going to show you guys the technique that I always use. So what I'm going to do now is just going to make a slip knot, and I'm going to start chaining in multiple of 9. If you did know the exact amount you chained for your back panel, this is going to be super easy, so I would suggest you keep that amount in mind. So you're going to now chain a multiple of 9 with that amount in mind. So for example, I did chain a total of 93 for my back panel. It is not a multiple of 9 in this case, so which means I'm going to just go ahead and chain 90 for now and leave the 3 out of it. So right here I have my 90 chains. Again guys, this is a lace pattern, so which means the pattern is eventually going to shrink in compared to the back panel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an additional 36 chains, which is also multiple of 9. So I'm basically adding 4 more sets of 9, which is going to give us enough gaps, so even after we do the first row of the lace, it's not, even if it shrinks inside, it's still going to be wide enough to fit the back panel. I think I eventually had to go back and adjust that, so I'm just going to show you guys how I did that. So you're going to just go ahead and add an additional chains just so you can have the front panel wider than the back panel. That's honestly what the pattern is about. So you want to make sure the front panel is wider so it can fit the back panel, and also the lace can actually just fit the skirt way more. So I'm going to add an additional 36 rows chains. So right there I have my 36 chain, and now we are going to go ahead and chain the 5 that we were originally supposed to chain, because again the pattern is worked in a multiple of 9 plus 5, right? So now I'm going to just chain the additional 5. So for row 1 you're going to go ahead and skip 8. So you're basically skipping 8 chains, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and into the 9th chain you're going to go with a treble crochet. A treble crochet is basically you're going to yarn twice, like yarn over twice instead of once, and you're going to go into that 9th chain with a treble crochet. So now that you have 4 loops, you're going to grab the yarn, pull through. You have 4 loops again, sorry. You're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the second 2, yarn over and pull through the last 2, and that is what the treble crochet is. Right from there you're going to chain 2, and right into that very same stitch you're going to go with a double crochet. So you're going to yarn over, but then this time around you're doing once because this is a double crochet and not a treble crochet, and you're going to go into that very stitch with a double crochet. Pull through, yarn over, pull through. After your double crochet, you're going to chain 2 again, and you're going to go back into that very same stitch with a double crochet, sorry. So now we have a treble crochet, chain 2, a double crochet, chain 2, and then a double crochet. From here you're going to chain 2 again, and you're going to go into that very same stitch with a double crochet, and this is going to be your third double crochet. Right after you're going to chain 2, and now we are going to go ahead and do another treble crochet. So we basically have a treble crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochets in between with chain 2s, and now lastly you're going to chain 2, a treble crochet again, you're going to yarn over twice, go into that very same stitch, chain, sorry. You have 4 loops, you're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the second 2, and yarn over, pull through the last 2, and right there you just created your first lace. Super simple. So right after your first lace, you're going to go ahead and skip 8 again. So you're going to count how many chains are after that last double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and into the 9th you're going to repeat a treble crochet into that 9th stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through again, chain 2, a double crochet into that same stitch, chain 2, a double crochet into that same stitch, chain 2, a double crochet into that same stitch, chain 2, and you're going to lastly go into that same stitch with a treble crochet. So you're basically inserting a treble crochet, chain 2, a double crochet, chain 2, a double crochet, chain 2, a double crochet, chain 2, a treble crochet. And this is what you're going to repeat until you get to the very end. So lastly you're going to skip 8, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and into the 9th I'm going to go with a treble crochet stitch, chain 2, a double crochet into that same chain, chain 2, a double crochet into that same chain, chain 2, a double crochet into that same chain, chain 2, and lastly a treble crochet into that same chain. And guys, this is the pattern, and this is what I'm going to repeat. So I'll see you guys when I have my last 5 stitch, so we can end off the row together. Hey guys, so I finished the first row, so I'm gonna show you guys how you can go ahead and end off the row. So I still have my last 5 chains. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to yarn over and go into that last chain with a double crochet, and this is how you're going to end off the row, each row. This is how you're going to end off each row, and this completes the first row. So for row 2 you're going to chain 3 and turn, and you're going to yarn over twice because we are going to do a treble crochet, but this time around we're doing the treble crochet into the middle stitch. Again, like I said, we are doing a treble crochet into the center stitch. So we have, remember, we have a treble crochet, 3 double crochets, and a last treble crochet. So we're going to go into that second double crochet, which is the center stitch, with the lace pattern. So you're going to yarn over twice, go into the stitch, not into the chains but into the stitch, and you're going to go ahead and do your first treble crochet into that stitch. Right after, you're going to chain 2, yarn over and go into that same stitch with a double crochet, chain 2, yarn over into the same stitch with a double crochet, chain 2 into the same stitch with a double crochet. And now that I have my 3 double crochets, I'm going to chain 2 and end off that lace with a treble crochet into that same stitch. And right there, I just completed my first lace. So from here on, you're going to repeat the same thing but into the center stitch of the next lace. So these are the laces, guys. So you're just going to go into that center stitch and repeat the same pattern until you get to the very end of the row. And this is honestly what the pattern is about. I did do 3 shells. I did do 3 laces, 3 rows of lace with the red, and then I switched to the blue with 2 rows of lace, and then I switched back to the red. So that was what I did for the entire pattern. I'm just going to repeat that, and I'll see you guys when I have that complete. So I finished the front and the back panel, so we actually need to attach the 2 together, put this on, and then we can do the remaining length check for the skirt. So I'm just going to grab that and show you guys what it looks like now. And this is the front panel. I did a total of 5. I think I did about 5 sets for each shell. Again, remember I did 3 shells. Are these called shells? Yeah, lace. This is a lace, not a shell. I did 3 sets of lace with the red, 2 with the blue, and then I did 5 of each color. So it's supposed to be like this. So I did 5 of each color. So now let's go to the table, and then we are going to attach the 2 ends of these both panels together. So basically the back and then the front are going to be attached together. My front is a bit wider compared to the back because I wanted the lace to come a bit to the back. I want a little bit of the lace to the back, so that's the reason why I made the back panel a little bit smaller compared to the front panel, just so the lace can actually come to the actual side of my body. But obviously that's optional. If you don't want to, then you're just going to make the same exact width with the front and the back panel. So let's go to the table, and we are going to attach these 2 together, and also the elastic band, so we can put this on and decide what the next step is. But for now, this is what we have going on. Hey guys, so I'm going to align both panels again, like I said, together, and I'm going to single crochet the both ends of the panel around the side, the edge of it. So basically these 2 ends, so you want to make sure you have the same length. And of course, because this is a double crochet panel and this is the lace panel, you cannot really say you're going to count the amount of rows you did, because obviously it's 2 different panels. But you should be able to align these 2 panels with just the same amount of length. You can take a measurement tape, or you can just put them across each other like this, just to make sure that they actually have the same length. So I'm going to use my red yarn for this method, and I'm just going to attach the yarn to the top or the bottom depending on where you want to start. I'm just going to attach the yarn, and then I'll start single crocheting the end. So right here I'm going to find the chain 3. So do not find the treble crochet and go into that, because then you're going into the wrong space basically. So you want to find the very chain 3 you did. Right here, this is my chain 3, 1 2 3. I'm going to go into that third chain 3, and then I'm going to go into the very first double crochet on the panel. Grab the yarn, and I'm going to attach these 2 together with a secure knot. And again, because one panel is a double crochet panel and another panel is a lace panel, it might be a bit difficult for you to just know where exactly to go into, but I just suggest you just take your time and just go into every available space on the lace, and also every available space on the double crochet panel as well. So I'm just going to go into every available space up until I get to the very end. Grab the yarn, pull through. I have 2 loops. I'm going to yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops, and I'm going to repeat this until I get to the very top. So I'll do that and I'll see you guys when I'm at the top. So I just finished one side. I just wanted to show you guys before I get on to the opposite side. So this is what it looks like, and of course the seam is inside on the opposite side. So I'm just going to do the same exact steps, but this time around I'm just going to do it on this side, and I want to make sure that the seam is actually outside. So when I do this side, the seam is going to be at the same place. So I'm just going to repeat the same thing. When I have that complete, I'll come back so we can attach the elastic band together. So I have both sides single crochet together, and I actually did turn the skirt to the right side. So now I have my elastic band. I'm just going to go ahead and take the measurement for the band. This is going to be your waist measurement, so I'm just going to take mine and then I'm going to make a knot. So I'm making mine in the stretch form, actually the stretch form. So you're going to stretch the band up until 28, which is my waist. So you're going to do this up until your waist measurement, and then just add a few more inches because you're going to make a knot, which is automatically going to shorten the elastic band. So from here on, I'm just going to make a knot. So right there I have a knot. I usually try not to make the knot too tight because then I can go back and undo and readjust if I have to. So now we are going to attach this elastic band to the panel. So this is going to be my upper part, while this is going to be the lower part, because I did ended off the row with the blue and started with the red. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure this elastic band is at the back of the panel of the skirt. Actually, in this case, guys, the glitter, oh, I love it. So I'm just going to make sure this aligns at the back. Grab the yarn and the from here I'm going to go into any stitch from the back and grab the elastic band and make sure the elastic band goes underneath. You guys can see, I hope it goes. So you're going to grab the yarn and make sure the yarn goes underneath the elastic band, sorry, and I'm going to grab the crochet goes underneath the elastic band. I don't know why I'm losing my words. And I'm just going to grab the yarn on the other hand and I'm going to go through and make a knot. So right there you can see that this string is going to go above the elastic band so we can get the knot. So I'm just going to make a secure knot, and I usually go back with just a few more knots to make sure that very first one is secure. So from here on we are going to go into every available stitch around this waist with a single crochet. You can use a half double crochet. I think I'm going to go for half double crochet actually. So very first stitch you're going to grab the yarn, pull through. Now you have the yarn on the crochet hook, which is going to just makes it easy for you to start with your stitches. So you're going to yarn over, go into the next available stitch, go underneath the elastic band. Again you're going to yarn over, go into the next available space, which is the next stitch. Make sure the crochet hook goes underneath the elastic band, grab the yarn, pull through. Now we have 3 loops. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And the very first few stitches obviously are going to be a bit difficult, but you will understand with time. So you're going to again grab the yarn, go into the next available space, make sure the crochet hook goes underneath the elastic band, grab, pull, yarn over and pull through the band. Again yarn over, go underneath the band, grab the yarn, pull 3 loops. You're going to yarn over and pull through the 3 loops. Lastly you're going to yarn over, go into the next available stitch, make sure you go underneath the elastic band as well, grab the yarn, pull through. You have 3 loops. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, and right there you have another one complete. So this is what I'm going to do all around. When I get to the shells, I'm going to still go into every available stitch all around until I get finished this, and I'll see you guys when I have that complete. So yarn attached to it. I'm just gonna show you guys how I usually just end off this method with I'm just going to find the first stitch on the opposite end, and I'm going to go into that very first stitch with a slip stitch, a very tight slip stitch, so I make sure there is no gap inside the yarn. And I'm just going to grab the band, make sure the band is inside, because again you want to make sure the band is not visible. So I'm just going to go into that very first stitch I did at the very beginning, and I'm going to slip stitch into that stitch. And right there we have a seal, and I usually just go back into the next few stitches with few slip stitches, and I end off the row by chaining one and cutting off the yarn. And for the excess elastic band, all we are going to do is you're going to sew this in just the same way you would sew in your crochet yarn if you needed to. So you're going to go into the stitches, grab the elastic band and pull through. And this might be a bit difficult, but just take your time and pull through. And right there you can see that already, and I usually go back just a few more times so I can have the band inside before I cut off the excess band. Right there, and I'll do that again one more time. Grab the yarn and pull through. And I'm just going to cut this off. And of course I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side, and I'll see you guys when I have that complete. So we are going to add layers to the skirt like you guys did see. So we're using the 5.5 for this method. 5.5. I was thinking if I wanted to do the double crochet row or use the lace pattern for this method, but I think the lace pattern will be perfect because it's summer, right? So let's get lacy. It's summer. So I'm going to grab the red yarn because obviously I ended off with the blue, so the red is the next option, and I'm going to go ahead and attach this right into this very stitch on the back panel with a secure knot. Right there I'm going to secure this, and I usually just go back and forth with extra knots like I always do. So from here on we are going to start the lace pattern again, but this time around we're going to increase. So we are going to go ahead and start 2 rows and do 2 rows of increasing, which is going to give us more lace and it's going to add flair to the skirt. So what we're going to do now is you're going to chain 1 and go into this next available space with a single crochet. Into that same space you're going to go with an additional single crochet. Right after, actually 3 single crochets, because you can never go wrong with a flare skirt, right? 3 single crochets, and into this chain 2 space, into this treble crochet you're going to go with, you're going to go in there with a single crochet stitch. Again, because I'm using a 5mm, the switch from a 2.5 to a 5mm is super wide, so you're going to struggle for this first row. I'm going to go in there with 1 single crochet, into the chain 2 space, I'm going to go in there with 3 single crochets. And into this double crochet stitch, I'm going to go with a single crochet, and into the chain 2 space with 3 single crochet. So basically you're going to go into a stitch with a single crochet, but then when you get to the chain 2, you're going to go in there with 3 instead of 2 single crochets. And that is what I'm going to repeat around the lace part of the pattern. It looks crazy, but I'm sure we're going to make something out of this. And then because we are increasing in every angle, we can make use of any stitch, any extra stitch that we can get. In between these 2 laces, we are going to go into this gap with 3 single crochets, because again, remember at the beginning, in between this stitch and the first lace, we did go there with 3 double crochets, single crochet, sorry. So that is the increase, guys, for the pattern. So I'm just going to repeat the same thing. When I get to a stitch, I'm going to make sure I do a single crochet, 1 single crochet. When I get to the chain 2, I'm going to make sure I do 3 single crochets into the chain 2 space, and I'll see you guys at the very beginning. Finish the increase on the side. We are going to do the same thing on the double crochet side. That took me forever, so you're probably going to just have to pause this video, but we're going to do the same increase on the side. So I'm just going to go into this last space with 3 double crochets right in there. Again, this increase pattern can be whatever you want it to be. I don't even know what the outcome is going to be like. I'm just making sure. You can see that already gives you ruffles at the very end, just so we can have way more lace compared to what we have at the front, so we can have a flare to it. That's just what the entire deal of the pattern is. So now from here on, we are going to go into the double crochet row, and we are doing alternating between 3 double crochets and 2 double crochets into each stitch. So into this very first double crochet, I'm going to go with 3, but then into the next double crochet, I'm going to go with 2 instead of 3, and that's the only difference between this and the front panel. So I'm just going to alternate between these 3 double crochets and 2 double crochets until I get to the very beginning, and I'll see you guys at the very beginning. Again, this is also going to be a bit difficult for you to get into that stitch, because we did use a 2.5, which means the stitches are a bit too small compared to the usual stitch. But just take your time and get into every stitch and you'll be fine. Guys, so I finished the row and I'm at the very beginning. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the very first single crochet we did and slip stitch right into that stitch. So now we are going to start working on the actual lace of the pattern, but because there is a split, you're going to now decide where exactly you want the split to be. If you want it to be at the right side or at the left side. And let me just turn the skirt like this, because this is the top that goes down. So I think I want mine to be at the right side, so it's going to be right there, which depending on how wide you want the opening to be for the split, you're going to grab 2 stitch markers and you're going to mark, I think I'm going to go about 4 lace. I'm not too sure. Do I want to do 4 lace? Yeah, I think I'm going to go about 4 lace on this lace. So I'm going to mark this. So I'm going to find the center stitch into this first lace and mark that stitch. Of course, because we already have a single crochet row above, guess what just happened to me? Because we have a single crochet above, we are going to go into that single crochet instead of the actual stitch, and then I'm going to mark that. I'm just going to grab this yarn since I already destroyed my stitch marker, and I'm going to mark this again. I said I was going to go into 4 shells, so 1 2 3 4 lace, sorry, and I'm going to mark this one as well, just doing that with this stitch. So now that I have these 2 stitches marked, so I know this is where the split is going to be, which means we are going to start the row somewhere around there, go all the way around, and we are going to stop right there and reverse. So right there is going to be the opening. No stitch is going to go above this side of the pattern. It's just going to be this side. So for the first row, I'm going to go ahead and start right there where the stitch marker is. So I can take off the stitch marker now, and I'm going to go into that same stitch with a crochet hook, grab the yarn and make a knot, and a secure knot actually. So from there we're going to start working the lace pattern. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and chain 3, skip 8 stitches, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and into the 9th I'm going to go with the lace pattern, which is treble crochet, chain 2, a double crochet into that same stitch, chain 2, a double crochet into that same stitch, chain 2, a double crochet into that same stitch, chain 2, and a treble crochet to end off that lace stitch. And right there we have our first lace. Of course this lace is going to be bigger than this lace because we're using it. We're going to skip 8 stitches again, and into the 9th you're going to repeat the same thing, and this is what you're going to do up until you get to the very beginning where you're to the opposite side where your stitch marker is. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, and I'm going to go in there with a treble crochet, chain 2, a double crochet, chain 2, a double crochet, chain 2, a double crochet, chain 2, and a treble crochet. I finished the first row, so I'm basically at the very end to end of the row. I have a few more stitches. Usually when we need to end of the row, you're going to go into the last stitch with a double crochet. So right there, this is my stitch marker. You guys did remember that I marked the stitch with this blue yarn, so I'm going to go into that last stitch with a double crochet. The pattern itself means you're supposed to have 5. I luckily have 5, but if you don't, you're just basically going to repeat until you have less than 8 stitches, and then go into that very last stitch with a double crochet to end off the row. So to start off the new row, you're going to chain 3, and turn, because we are going up to the opposite end, right? So now we're going to just go all around until we get to this very first one at the very beginning too. So after chaining 3, I'm going to find the 3rd stitch, the center stitch, and I'm going to go into that center stitch with my lace, just the same way we did with the front panel, guys. That's the same thing we're doing with this panel. So you're just going to go into that 3rd stitch and repeat the treble crochet, chain 2, 3 sets of double crochets, chaining 2 after each double crochet, and then an additional treble crochet to end off the lace. And again, you just want to go all around until you get to the very beginning. When you get to the very beginning, you're going to go into this chain 3, you're just going to go in there with a chain 3, and then you're going to chain 3 again. You're going to go in there with a double crochet, sorry, not a chain 3. So after your last lace, you're going to go in there with a double crochet, chain 3, and go all around again. So I'm going to do that. I'm still going to keep switching between the blue and the red until I have my desired length, and I'll see you guys when I have that desired length. Hey guys, so I finished the yarn. I had to go back and see if I could find the same yarn. Unfortunately I did not, but then I got one more of the blue, so I was lucky enough to get one blue. The red was not available at all, so I had to get blue, and I think I got another white, which I'm thinking of making a matching top for. I don't know if it's going to make any sense, but for now this is what it looks like. Let me count how many rows I did. I did a total of 23 rows. Again, you can make this as long or as short as you want it to be. There are no specific amount of rows that you need to do. So right there I have my last one. I'm just going to chain 1. I'm using the 2.5 by the way for that, because I think it's just easy so you can get a tighter stitch. And yeah, for the excess yarn, what I'm going to do on the two sides, I'm going to just make a knot with the blue and the red. I'm going to make a knot with both strings, and I'm going to sew both of them in so it's secure. So if you just sew them in and it's not secure, it might unravel. So you're just going to sew the red through the red and then the blue through the blue, of course, because if you sew the red and the blue together, it's not gonna be seamless. You're basically going to see the difference between the two colors. So that is honestly what I'm going to do. I haven't even tried the skirt on to see what the final look is. Obviously you guys have already seen it, but I'm going to do sew in all the loose ends, of course, and that will be all for this tutorial.
I tried dipping, he begged me to stay. Babe, I'm not staying, I just wanna play. In the party, he just wanna rump. Big boobs in the butt, stay plump. She a baddie, she knows she a 10. She a baddie with her baddie friend. They like ice, how you always stay hot. Oh, they mad cause I keep making bops. Oh, she mad cause I'm taking her spot. If I was bitches, I'd hate me a lot. Like damn, she in her mood. 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 She lit, get money too. Like damn.